All right, my name is Shelby McIntyre, and I am the owner of Viper Video.
What are some struggles with operating a video store?
Some of the struggles with operating a video store are having enough inventory to try to please everybody. You can't. You only have a certain amount of dollars every month to budget. When you start off small and you don't have a lot of capital, so it's a growing process. So when I first started, I opened in November of 2021, and it was only like 1/4 filled with what it is now. So really, I only had a couple racks. There was nothing in the back room. The budget room did not exist. Everything was up here. And there was a lot of people that were used to, so before me was a video store called Grindhouse Video, which opened up the same way. Started off small and then expanded also into this other unit and opened it up. And a lot of the local movie collectors and movie fans got really spoiled with having this huge, 2,000 square foot store. After he left and moved to Knoxville is when I opened up, so I had to start off from scratch. And so a lot of people would come in and be like, oh, he doesn't have anything. And now, 2 years later, they come in and they're like, wow, it's a lot different. But it's still a struggle. I'm always looking at what I'm buying and spending and making sure that I'm not overdoing it. And try to make everybody happy, because I carry all genres of movies.
Why the focus on horror?
Those are the main collectors of physical media for the most part. Now it's starting to widen. It's starting to broaden dramatically. Since now people are starting to understand that sometimes their favorite movies are not available on streaming anymore. So I'll have regular people come in out of the blue and say, oh my God, do you have Back to the Future? It's not streaming anywhere. And they're not collectors. They're not buying movies for the most part. A lot of people don't even have Blu-ray players or DVD players anymore. Like, they do not understand why anybody would buy a movie until their favorite movie's not available.
So with the increase in streaming services, have you seen a larger increase in people coming in to look for physical media?
Yes. Yeah. Now the horror sci-fi fans, horror sci-fi fantasies has always been a strong staple. But I'm starting to get more regular people come in. I say regular, non-collectors normally coming in and buying movies, because you can buy a Blu-ray, a good Blu-ray used for $1.99, $2.99, $3.99. Now some are more, obviously, depends on what it is and if it's out of print or not. And DVDs in here for 99 cents, which is what it costs to rent, and then they can watch it anytime they want.
What are some of the coolest editions of films that you've sold?
Some of my favorite special editions that have been released, like for one is this, The Inside the Mind of Coffin Joe. Real cult and really like bizarre for just in general, but also in South America. This is like a really nice set, and there's a lot of really nice sets that come out. And what I like about the boutique labels like this, for instance, Arrow, like this is a filmmaker, William Griffey. He's a Florida filmmaker, and he did a lot of films that went straight to the theater and drive-ins, but were popular. But he always shot in Florida. They'll put out a box of all of his stuff with a nice book, posters, everything's remastered, and they're just really nice.
Have you ever had a collector come in looking for something so specific and you have it, that aha moment of like, oh my God, like it's here physically?
Oh yeah, all the time. I love it when somebody comes in and asks for something really oddball, and then I have it. But then I have somebody that'll ask for something that's completely normal, and then I don't have it. Like, for instance, a kid came in the other day looking for The Matrix, and I usually always have multiples of that in Blu-ray. I did have some in the regular DVD for 99 cents, but it's a nice feeling when somebody comes in and asks for a movie, and then and it's not a common one. And then I'm like, oh, here it is, and they get so excited.
Being one of the few video stores in Tampa, do you get a lot of traffic of people that are coming in that know about you or have heard about you from other people that have come in? Or do they sort of find you on the internet and come in out of curiosity? Yeah,
it's all of those. I have people, I have some customers coming in from the UK and Germany that already know about me, and then they ahead of time we'll be like, hey, we're coming into town in 3 weeks, and want to see your store. And
Yeah.
so I've got international
Uh-huh.
customers as well, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is sort of owning a small business, especially physical media and film, like how does that fulfill sort of your love of the art and the craft?
When my friend Mike Sandlin, who owned Grindhouse Video, left, there was, said he was going to leave, I knew there was going to be a void. It's nice to be able to have a store in a field that you love, that you like to talk about.
How long were you in the film industry, and what roles did you perform?
I started doing that here locally with some friends of mine, started making some short films back in 2002.
Okay.
Started doing that, and then did a documentary called Strip Club King, the story of Joe Redner. That was released in 2009, and that played on all of cable video on demand all throughout the USA and Canada, so all of North America, and about 80 million homes. And then after that, wrote and produced a comedy horror film called Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. Yeah, so that did well as well. It's still on Amazon Prime, so you can watch that. And then after that, I had worked on some special effects makeup with my friend Marcus Cook, who works all around the country, and did that on some other smaller films.
Yeah.
Some locally, but also some, Anyway, so there wasn't a whole ton of work, and needed to get back to working full time. I did work on some of my friends' projects here locally. But what happened was I have a couple of eye conditions, which prohibited me from kind of working on sets.
Yeah. You mentioned that you worked on a lot of indie stuff with friends locally. So what's the sort of indie film sphere of Florida like?
There's a lot. There is a lot of independent filmmaking going on in the state of Florida. Not just horror, but there's just all genres. And with the Gasparilla Film Festival, and you've got Sunscreen, so there's all kinds of dramas and stuff, and a lot of a lot of really low budget horror stuff. So aside from independent film, there is a ton. Florida's the third largest commercial and lifestyle print market in the country, behind New York and Los Angeles, because of Orlando, because of all the theme parks, because of all the beaches, and the tourism, and the weather here. And that shooting is also non-stop.
So with the focus on horror films here at Viper Video, how do you sort of feel about the current state of the horror genre in film today?
I'm fine with it. There's been, there's always going to be great stuff and not so great stuff. It's just the way it is. Recently, I think there's been some really good stuff that's come out, like Long Legs and The Substance. So there's a lot of horror fans that don't like any of the new stuff. They're stuck in the 80s, and I love the 80s because the 80s was all practical special effects, and there's just something about the 80s horror films that are just, they're fun. A lot of them are more fun. So I've seen a lot of good stuff in the last couple of years, and then there's a lot of stuff that you're like, it's okay. Yeah. It's all right, but that's with any genre.
You have keratoconus. Can you sort of describe what that condition is and sort of how it's affected you?
Keratoconus is an eye condition that affects your corneas. So our corneas are naturally oval shaped. Yeah. And they have keratoconus, they slowly start to cone. Ker-uh-toh-koh-nuh-s. And what that does is distort your vision. Regular eyeglasses will not fix that. Regular eyeglasses are just for poor vision. But when your corneas start to cone, it distorts your vision. Sometimes there are special glasses that can work, but they never work for me. There's certain procedures they can do. I did have a partial cornea transplant, but it didn't really work. The only thing that will really fix it is, and I have it in both eyes, the right eye being worse. I'm legally blind. I want to get a cornea transplant. The problem is that I also have another existing eye condition. In our eyelids, you have little glands called meibomian glands, that every time you blink your eyes, it produces that moisture that is exactly correct for moistening the eyes. It's not tear ducts, it's completely different. And so I'm sure you've heard of dry eye. Usually as you get older, those meibomian glands start to close up, and then you've heard about dry eye. So it's atopic keratoconus conjunctivitis is pretty much like severe dry eye. So what that causes is that also causes swelling of the eyelids. So that combined with the keratoconus, some doctors, and pretty much almost every doctor right now, is hesitant to do a full cornea transplant because my chance of organ rejection on the cornea is much higher than the average person's. So I'm hoping to get approved in the next couple of years for that. Having keratoconus has definitely been challenging, doing this all day long.
Yeah.
So when I first spoke to Mike Sandlin, who previously owned Grindhouse Video, and I said, man, I want to open a video store. And he was like, dude, how are you going to do that? You're half blind. And I just said, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And so the last 6 months that he was open, I came in to his store, worked with him. So he showed me the ins and outs. I mean, I understand movies, but it was more of showing me, okay, here's the backside of the ordering and the distributors and setting up your accounts and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the pricing, and basically he mentored me into, you know, teaching me from his mistakes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, figure it out. And don't get me wrong, I make mistakes. Like just yesterday, I found 2 titles and it was supposed to be $14.99 and I had marked it $24.99. It's been sitting out there for God knows how long. And it's funny because nobody ever says anything.
Yeah.
They never say, hey, there's 2 prices on this, you know. I have to discover it myself, and I'm sure they're thinking, what a moron. They put it back. So I'm always dealing with that kind of stuff. But it's fine. You know, it is what it is. It keeps me busy, and because I'm legally blind, it's hard to, you know, that's why it's nice having your own business. But it's a struggle. It's always a struggle. I don't drive.
Yeah.
I can't drive. Hopefully one day I can get the cornea transplant. That would be nice. I think the biggest stressor is the driving. Not being able to drive. So I have to Uber, and it's a hassle.
How often do you find yourself watching films?
Actually, I go in phases. So sometimes I get into a mode where I want to rewatch movies and explore new movies that are coming out. So I find myself going to the movie theater a lot more lately, and watching some of the newer releases lately. And then I'll go through phases where I just don't watch anything at all. You know, you get home, you do this all day long. My eyes are tired by the time I get home. I'm only so good on the computer for so long.